The following law enforcement critique is routine and based solely upon objective facts as presented in the video. Whether there's a broader context involved is unknown at this time.
Caught up to me within a 2.5 block radius instantly.
Yeah, so the reason I caught up with you is because...
I was taking my employee home from work.
Like I said, when you pulled up by the M&H there, looked like you were avoiding eye contact with me.
So I was avoiding eye contact with a police officer, and he speeds up behind me, doesn't pull me over, so I stop to make a turn, and then all of a sudden the sheriff across the street pulls me over.
So,
is this correct? Is that how this went down?
So, like I was saying, when you pulled up past me, it looked like you were avoiding eye contact.
So is that a reason to pull somebody over?
So then I saw you go around and pull back out behind Tommy's there, come back
because I was dropping my employee off.
And go straight back the same way it came from.
Yep, so. Because I was dropping my employee off and then I was coming back to work.
Yeah.
So you sped up to get behind me because I didn't make eye contact with you.
Yeah, then I ran your license
Awesome,
plate.
thank you.
Right there at the end, the deputy said, well, then I ran your plates, but that's where the video cuts out. So I don't know if that played a role in the justification for the stop or not, and that's why I had that message up front. Just the objective facts as they were presented without the benefit of greater context. But what do we have? Well, you didn't make eye contact. You know, that shows up in more and more of these videos with traffic stops. So if you don't make eye contact, you get pulled over. If you do make eye contact, you get pulled over. If you make eye contact but you hold it too long, you get pulled over. If you don't make eye contact but you're chewing gum, you get pulled over. The average police officer enjoys making traffic stops because it's a contact and they could possibly make an arrest, find some, wanted fugitive or a whole boatload worth of drugs somewhere. And really, in the worst case scenario, they could find either a dead body. It could be, one of the people in the vehicle is a kidnap victim, or there's a medical emergency. We just never know. At the end of Rise of the Oathbreakers Part 2, I have two different stories. Two different individuals, one who's a kidnap victim, the other ended up being run over on their bike, where police had reasonable suspicion of a crime to make the stops, but didn't know the scope of their authority, failed to make the stop, and then in both instances, the innocent victims were killed. And again, it's because the police didn't know the scope of their authority, but they worked the opposite direction, where they had the authority, but were too dumb, too stupid, too poorly trained to know that they could have made the stop. Speaking of being too dumb, too stupid, and too poorly trained to know the scope of their authority, let me introduce you to Rise of the Oathbreakers Part 2, Section 8, A Reckless Decision. Well, why am I bringing that up? Because it's not just about police incompetence and not knowing the scope of their authority. It happened to me. You heard that right. This is my story. This happened to me. And I'm not going to read it out loud. I'm not going to cover it in any kind of detail right now. But if you want to read a really good book and learn a lot about the law and about your rights, understanding that I don't write boring books, then pick up my Oathbreakers books. The story that I tell in that Section 8, A Reckless Decision in Rise of the Oathbreakers Part 2, it is one of the worst examples of police incompetence that I had ever encountered. Whether it was since I've been retired or the 23 years I wore a badge, it was sick, even borderline evil. And what you'd read if you get the book is my actual formal complaint. It is a word-for-word rendition of the formal complaint that I filed with the idiot chief of police with the Newport, Maine Police Department shortly after the entire incident went down. You wonder why the subtitle of Part 2 is America's Crisis of Competency in Law Enforcement? Now you know. And if you want the whole story, pick up a copy and read Section 8, A Reckless Decision. You'll be glad you did, and you have my word on it.